Well, hello, hello, beautiful and ambitious. Today I have an amazing guest. I'm so happy to share with you this powerful woman. And I met her at the E-Women Network, and I was just absolutely magnetized by her energy. And we had a short conversation. Then we also met via Zoom. She is such an amazing leader, speaker. And if you are watching us on YouTube, you will be also enjoying her beautiful smile. She definitely has a lot of energy. And this is Jaresha Moore Smith. She is a speaker, coach, trainer, author, and visionary behind Empower on Purpose LLC. She works with individuals and organizations, and she helps them unleash their greatness and reach their full potential. And I have to mention that when she started her entrepreneurial journey, she was a single mom with 4 kids. And because of her growth and charming personality, she met the man of her dreams. And now she's married, still with 4 kids. And her business is prospering and growing just like she is. So I'm so excited to take you on a journey with Jarisha's help. And the journey is going to be, we decided that we will kind of map it something like from not good enough to what is possible, or from not good enough to realizing your greatest potential. So Jarisha, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am extremely excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Of course, I could not just not have you on my show because you have so much to offer to my audience, and I'm sure we're going to be taking notes. All right. So, from not good enough, well, let's just kind of maybe start with you. If you've experienced that narrative, if you are okay to share, and perhaps if you hear that similar narrative in your clients, let's just start there.
Absolutely. So I think that this is, when we think about, being or feeling like we're not good enough, that is something that is a narrative that so many of us kind of find ourselves in, including myself at one point in time. Before I launched my business, there was moments when I launched my business that I really felt like, okay, am I good enough? Am I able to, launch the business, start the business all at a time beforehand when I had, I was a single mom. And so, for those out there that are single moms, you understand exactly what I mean when I say we all kind of have that narrative that comes into our minds and we deal with those limited beliefs where we find ourselves. A lot of times it may keep us stuck in a place where we feel like we can't move. So we're confined by that narrative. And so, the thing with me, it was I felt that, but it was like, you know what? I have these 4 children that are looking at me, and I'm not going to just stay in that space. I don't get to just stay in that space because I knew that I wanted to build and I wanted to grow. And so that am I good enough turned into yes, I am good enough. And this is how I'm good enough. This is how not just in, what I eventually seen in myself, but also the people that was surrounding me, that was in my circle, that was my support system that kept me feeling empowered in those moments when, I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't know if I can, continue to push forward. And I feel like we all get in that. We all have those moments. And that's why it's so important to have someone, a coach, a mentor, a support system that is there with you. Because when you have those doubts, when you deal with those limiting beliefs, we can't stay in that space. And I'm not, so I recognize that I couldn't stay in that space that, when I was a single mom and really feeling like, that was at a point when I had, put myself through college. I had went and got my master's, and so just me going through that, finishing my undergrad and then going on to get my MBA, I knew that if I was good enough to, really push myself and say, you know what, I was good enough to accomplish those things, that I was good enough to even go to the next level. And so I think that we have to look at it that way. And that's one of the things that I do also with my clients as well, is I help them recognize that greatness that is within them, because we
Mhm.
have that. Like, we have that already within us. So
Mhm.
you don't get to sit in my coaching session and say I'm not good enough, because you are. And let me tell you how you're good enough. And so that was kind of, the narrative that I was dealing with, and, the process, a little bit of, the process of what I went through and how I was able to really overcome that narrative of feeling like I'm not good enough. And I didn't stay in that space for a long time, because we know what happens when you stay in that space for a long time, whether it's your own narrative or it's someone else telling you you're not good enough. For many of us, it may be someone else saying you're not good enough. And then we start believing that. And
Mhm.
so it's a matter of shifting and changing that narrative. And it's a process. It's not something that happens, for many of us overnight. I'm not saying that it can't happen overnight, but it's a process for many of us, because we have layers and layers that we've packed on of doubt and all these limiting beliefs. And so it's a process then to remove that, and for us to, start taking off those, the doubts and the limiting beliefs, and I can't this and I can't that, and really begin to see that we can do it. And so that's kind of been a little bit of, how I've moved, and how I do also work with clients on helping them really recognize that, that doubt, and move from that, and changing and shifting that narrative.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. And it's also good to hear that we all kind of have that narrative. I don't think I've met anyone who has never experienced that narrative, like, yeah, I'm not good enough. And when we start recognizing where this narrative comes from, of course, it's fear. Yes, when you're getting out of your comfort zone, and you also have 4 kids, you're taking responsibility, not just for yourself, but for them. And it's normal to experience the fear, and that comes with that voice, I'm not good enough. But what I see you were able to do, you went deep down, and what was underneath the fear, that was a great desire. And the desire that was driving you forward, knowing that you could share a beautiful path to greatness with many other women who I'm sure also become your friends. And don't you want to have friends who feel empowered and also realizing their potential? That's beautiful that you were able to transmute your fear into connecting to your desire, and then hold your energy in that space of the desire, which is
Mhm.
amazing. You mentioned the support system. So if briefly, maybe you share with us, what was your support system then, and how it has changed on your path to greatness?
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So yes, yes. So my support system, when and I feel like many of us will say, oh, you have to get, your team, you have to get your, find your tribe, you have to find, your like-minded people, you have to find your support system. And we're not just saying that just to be saying it.
Mhm.
First, let me say that. I think that if you are in a space where you are a business owner, entrepreneur, then you understand how important that is. But for those that are still in the 9 to 5 world, it's equally important for you to have a support system, for you to have someone or someone, or more than more than one person that is going to be in your corner, that is going to support you, that you can lean on for advice, that you can turn to. And the one thing that I learned a long time ago is that not everyone is a person that should be that support in that support system. Not everyone is someone that needs to be in your circle. I learned that a long time ago when I was excited about, things that I was doing, things that I was launching, a business that I was trying to build and grow and launch. And then I felt like I could turn to someone that was in my circle and share that, and they would be equally excited, and they
Mhm.
weren't. And so
Mhm.
that's why, I say that it's important to have people in your support system, but you almost have to vet and go through and, really figure out what that looks like.
Mhm.
Who should be in your circle? Who should not? So there was a lot of adding and, also subtracting from my circle, if you will,
Mhm.
that happened through the course of the years. And again, no love lost. It's just a matter of when you are in a position and you're growing, not everyone's going to grow with you.
Mhm.
Not everyone is meant to grow with you. And I think we struggle with that. We
Mhm.
struggle with that so much because we feel like as we move up to this next level, that the persons maybe that was with us should, we need to be able to pull and grab them with us, even though they may not have the same mindset. They may be negative. And I say to you, if you have someone right now that's negative, that's in your circle, that is trying to hold you down versus pushing you up, then you need to really reevaluate your circle. And so that's one of the things that I learned from, before I launched my business, and those that I was going to surround myself with, because we want to be surrounded by like-minded people. We want to be surrounded with people that is going to empower us, inspire us, motivate us, and, uplift us. And if we're not, then we should understand why we're not moving, why we're not growing. Because I'm a firm believer that it's those people that we're connected to as well that's going to help us, that's
Mhm.
going to help us grow. I'm a firm believer also that we can't do it alone. And
Mhm.
so that's why I say how important it is for us to have a support system. So my support system, was of course my family, my kids, also a couple of coaches, mentors, a couple of people that's in the same space that I'm in as far as coaching. There's a whole entire community that I'm connected to as well, that is my support system, as well. And so it's like you have these pockets of
Mhm.
communities.
Mhm.
That's your support system. So I have my support system with eWomen Network. I have my support system, so it's having those pockets of, these communities that I'm connected to, that has really helped me not just grow as, on a personal level, but it's helped my business grow, and
Mhm.
it continues to grow as well. So one more thing that I want to add is that in this space of being an entrepreneur, business owner, we feel like we have to wear so many hats because we're entrepreneur, we're doing it by ourselves. And so what I want to tell everyone that's out there that is in that space is, stop thinking that you have to do it alone. That literally was my story. The very beginning when I launched my business is feeling like, oh, I'm trying to wear all these hats. I have to do this. I had to do it by myself until I realized that I didn't. And so it's through that has truly helped me grow, helped me develop personally, and then also really reach that level and continue to reach the level of success that I'm at, and that I'm, continuing to aspire to be.
Mhm. Yes, that is such a powerful message. Because yes, especially when we work with those ambitious and high performing women. Sometimes they identify themselves with being so independent and so strong that almost like asking for help or support feels a little weak for them. But it's really just, again, recognizing their greatness through the support and help that they can experience. And I always like to look at the divine creation. And this is especially in the beginning when we are planting those seeds of possibilities, just like the seed of the tree. that seed needs a lot of support and just enough sunshine and just enough water and just enough wind and just enough winter snow and whatever the fertilization and all these ants that come and do the support. Uh, so, and when that seed is still growing, it's still in the beginning, it's shaky. It might grow into the tree. It has potential, but it might not. But potential is there. And who you surround yourself with, they can either help you plant that tree and make it into a bigger tree with all the other potential fruits of the labor sharing with the world, or you might be in a different environment, like you said. And as soon as you have that seed of possibility and you get excited, and that environment just comes and like smoosh it down. So that's why it's so important that you were able to recognize that. And also, I'm sure that just even tapping into the divine energy of creation, because we always co-create with the energy that is always around. So, which is amazing. That's why I feel like we're never alone. And it's also, in a way, it's kind of like a choice to recognize that and just to be aware, because that support never goes and never leaves you. It's just my awareness of it sometimes, because maybe it gets clouded by I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy and whatever, I have a bad day, I don't need anybody. And then just recognizing that and pull yourself down. Or when you have the support, when you have a coach, when you have a leader, so you can always just ask for that moment, like, can you be with me? Can you just, listen? And that's really beautiful. And that's what we're here all about. And I guess that will be a really good segue to go into your amazing coaching. And I also have to add that not only Jaresha has her LLC, Empower on Purpose, but she also has, she's the owner of the Envision Broadcasting radio station. And if that's not enough, she's a host of Empower Hour with Jaresha. So, and all those links will be posted in the show notes. And I really invite you to listen to her because she is incredible. She just like high power, strong, and she has really good ideas and solutions. So, let's move into your coaching and tell us when you say, become a better leader. What does that mean?
Yes, that's so good. Yes. So becoming a better leader, a lot of us fail to realize that we are all leaders, because the fact that we think that to be a leader, it means that you have to have a certain title or a certain position to be a leader. However, John Maxwell states that leadership is nothing more than influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so when we recognize that it's influence, is how can we be better at influencing the people that we are connected to, whether it's in our 9 to 5 space or at church or in the community, or in our businesses, at home. How can we be better leaders? And so, as I mentioned, it's first recognizing that each and every one of us is a leader, because each and every one of us have influence, and we don't realize how much influence we have until we actually sit down and say, okay, let me think about this. Who am I influencing? So for me, it's my children, it's, my clients, it's communities that I'm connected to. It's everyone that you're connected to that you influence some kind of way, shape, or form. And then it's looking at that and saying, okay, how can I become better? How can I become better? So say, for instance, if you are in the 9 to 5 space and, you have this high title, an executive title, and, a lot of times in that space, we may not recognize or see that there's a need for improving or growing. And I believe that each and every one of us we are supposed to be growing. We're supposed to be developing. We're supposed to be improving. And that's in our leadership. That's in, our influence. That is in our personal, development. We're supposed to be growing. And so when I say that, helping leaders really become better, that's what it entails. It really helps them, one, understand that they are a leader. Many people may not understand that. And first it's, looking at that. If you don't understand that you're a leader, breaking that down and how you are a leader. And then also looking at that influence that, that you have, and how can you be better at influencing the people that you're connected to. And so ultimately, that's me empowering the leader to recognize their greatness, to recognize the influence that they have, the people that they're connected to, and how they look up to them, and how they can make that relationship or that connection better. And so that's what that really entails. I feel like there's so many different layers of leaders and leadership. And it's really hard for us sometimes to understand that piece, because most of us feel like if we're not in a certain title or have a certain position,
Mhm.
that ultimately means that, oh, I'm not a leader. No, I'm not a leader, and we all are leaders. At the same time, we all have, there's things that we are followers in as well. And so I really feel like when you think about the servant leadership and what that entails, it's all about serving others and connecting with others, communicating with others, influencing others, and really what that means about empowering others too. So that's a space that I really enjoy, especially when, you're having a conversation with someone that may be, new in their career, and they're like, I'm not a leader. No, you are a leader. I have conversations with even, some children, and telling them that they're leaders. So yes, you are an emerging leader. And how can we begin to really look at that and say, how can I grow? How can I develop in that space? So it's one of those things that really excites me, but
Yeah.
but we're all leaders, and we all need to aspire to be even better as leaders.
Yes, and I can definitely feel your excitement. I feel like we can go for an hour just talking about that. Then we have to co-host a show or two. Okay. Yes, I absolutely love that definition because, and yes, bringing it back home that, yes, we don't need the titles because there are people who have titles but don't quite show up as leaders, right? And yes, I believe that we are all born to lead, just even like you said, influencing, just even like influencing the world by being who I am, because we all have our unique gifts and personalities. Like I read somewhere there are like so many hundreds of different ants that, the divine creation created. And I guess they all have their purpose. And I might name only two or three that I'm aware of. So that's why when we start really believing, going back to that belief where we started, that I am a leader, then perhaps maybe the next question to ask, what is the what would be the most important quality for being an influential leader?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, to be honest with you, probably one of the most important qualities of, it's going back to that the influence, to being an influence leader. And I know it's like, okay, you want to be an influential leader, but it's all about it's all about the influence.
Mhm.
And so, so the leaders that I have, the work with, whether they're emerging leaders, so emerging leaders, or, just already in the space of leading and really helping them develop, um, that influence piece it is, I mean, when I tell you, just look, like if we even stop for a moment and look at the people that you're connected to, whether it's Again, as I mentioned, in church, communities, the people that maybe you work with, the people that, that's in your circle, look at how much they influence you and how much, you may influence them. And then when we think about improving that, I really feel like it comes down to not necessarily just looking at the qualities of that. Because of course we want to be a good communicator. That's number one. You want to be communicating, you want to be connecting. And a lot of times when we communicate, we don't connect. And that's a whole nother that's a whole nother show. But at the end of the day, it's the communication and looking at that communication in order for us to influence others. There's so many different layers of it that I can't necessarily say, oh, these are the qualities that you must have to be this influential leader. This is what you must possess. I feel like instead of saying this is what you must possess, it's okay, let's look at it and say, where let me first recognize the fact that I am a leader. Two, let me see how I can become better. Because I feel like at times when we have this, like we have that this is what a leader is, and these are all the things that fall in line with it. And then, okay, well, I don't have that. Let me check that off. Or I'm not that. So I feel like with wherever your journey is, it's about developing, it's about, growing. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that one, you have, sat down and said, okay, let me assess where I'm at. Let me assess what are my qualities. So am I a good communicator? Do I really feel like I'm empowering others? Am I a good listener? What does that really mean for me as a leader? Because I'll tell you, when I sat down and kind of went through that and said, okay, let me evaluate, let me assess myself as a leader and who I am really trying to influence. What does that truly mean? Am I communicating with them? Are they receiving what is the communication effective? How am I influencing them? So I think there's so many different layers that go along with that. But first we have to be willing to one, acknowledge that we are a leader. Two, say, okay, let me assess what kind of like what type of leader am I? And I say what type, because of the fact that we all are on this developing journey. However, some of us may not recognize, where who we are, where we're at in that journey, whether we're early on in our leadership, or we've been, in a leadership, maybe a leadership role, or just, leading for years upon years and not understanding why we are having a hard time connecting or communicating with people, or why people look at us and don't feel like they're a good leader. And so there's so many different layers with that. I just think that we have to begin to really assess who we are, basically who we are and where we're trying to go. Because I'll tell you that even when I think back to me even stepping into like the John Maxwell, becoming certified as a Maxwell, Maxwell, coach, speaker, trainer, and all of that. There were a lot of things that I learned about myself as far as, being this influential, leader, and looking at who I felt like was a great leader and saying, what can I pull? What are some of the things that they do that I can pull from it? And it was wanting to be relatable and really wanting to connect. So I don't want to go into, list of all of these different qualities, because I feel like at the end of the day, if you're listening right now and saying, you know what, I really think that I should, one, I want to be more influential, I want to really have better influence, then it's a matter of, and I always say sitting down with ourselves, because I feel like that's what we have to do. We have to sit down with ourselves and really assess where we are. And I'd like to do like a scale, like, rate myself from, 0 to 10, where I fall as being this, do I feel like I'm a great leader? Do I feel like I have influence? And who are the people that I'm trying to influence? And how can I improve that? And so, I know that was a long answer, but that's kind of where, where where I feel like I've been, even as far as working with, clients, as far as, like, we don't necessarily go into these are the qualities that you have to possess kind of deal. Not necessarily jumping into that, besides looking at it from the standpoint of, let's assess where you are and where you're trying to grow, and how we can look at those that you're connected to then, really build and grow that influence by way of your communication, how you're relating to them, and how you're connecting, because that connecting piece is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You want more influence, you need to be connecting with people. that's
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
what it comes down to. So
And that's what I wanted to mention, that just when I met you at the E-Women Network event, and we connected, and you
yes.
said that, yes, let's connect, outside of this meeting, and you did follow through. And also you said that this is what you actually like doing. You say, and then you do, and you actually connect to a person. And basically, you taught me a lesson. You influenced me probably without, like having an agenda to influence this person, right? It's
Mhm.
just because who you are being. And I noticed also in your website, you use that model, be, do, have, that I also use. It's that who you are being while you're doing, and while you're having the title, and while you're doing the talk or communicating with people. Because yes, you can communicate with person and don't even feel connected. Or you can start with connection and then continue that conversation from the point of connection. And connection is huge. So that's why now I feel like I'm inspired and influenced by you to take the torch of the
Yeah.
fire and set the fire with other people. Because how many networking meetings do we go to and we say, yeah, 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 sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. But now I have your example by just you being who you are and what's important to you in your leadership style that you are developing and taking responsibility for. And that's beautiful. And that's where it all goes down to, it's who you are being. That's why perhaps, yeah, like the first step is just acknowledge that you are a leader, and we are all born with an agency to choose, because we can choose to lead, we can choose to follow, and sometimes it's important, but then how can we balance that act so that we don't just get stuck behind, but we also lead other people who are looking up to us, just like when starting with the kids, like you said. And then
Mhm.
just ask the question, well, if I am a leader, then what would I do? Who would I be? What would I say? And you just play with it, because yeah, if you're coming from not good enough, there is a process, there is some systems, there is some journey before you understand and become that powerful leader, and you just know what you stand for. So that was beautiful. Thank you for the lesson. You can be my accountability partner now. I'll be checking off. Jaresha will be happy. I connected to the person.
That's so good.
Yeah, and the world is just going to be more connected. I mean, what else do we want in this world, really? We just want more connection.
That's
And
right.
the COVID time definitely showed that to us for sure. So thank you for influencing me. Yeah, and I also like that how you um answer my question, that yes, there is no like this strict suit that you have to wear. It's all
Mhm.
customizable approach just to be the leader that you see how the leader should be where you are in this type of your journey. So yeah, that's awesome. So I love that there is always that freedom and always that you looking at the person and helping them develop that gift of that potential within them. That's awesome.
That's
Okay.
right.
So I feel like now it's the time to get to a little more personal, Jarisha. What do you think?
Yes.
So what I mean by that, because you're obviously a successful, powerful woman, leader, business owner, and your mom and wife and friend and maybe sister as well. I don't know. So how do you do it all? Can you share with
Hmm.
us maybe some self-care practices or some mindset tricks that you do that have helped you really realize your potential, not just to be a mom, but also a successful business owner and a leader. And still, you were single, like you had to date somewhere and develop the relationship and
Mhm.
still staying married.
Yes,
So you're
yes.
just incredible. So I'm sure you have some wisdom to share. So please, where would you like to go
I
from here?
Yes, I do. So, this is probably one of the number one questions that I get asked is how do you do it all? How do you balance? How do you, and I always say, I really feel like as far as the balance thing, it's not a balancing act because
Mhm,
it's not. It's a matter of really controlling your schedule and what that looks like for you. So, one thing I have learned over the years is how to utilize the resources. And
mhm,
I utilize resources very, very well. So, resources, as in tools, as in people, that's going to help me be successful in my personal, so professional, as far as business, my finances, my health and wellness, relationships. Um, even from a faith and spiritual side of things, because we want to always be working on those 5 areas of our lives. And so when I think about just some of the practices that I've put in place, and I really call them practices because
mhm.
it's one of those things that I feel like we have so many great resources and tools out there.
Yeah.
Now can't very well use all of the tools and resources, but if you get an opportunity to try something and it works for you, then I think if it works for you, then you should keep using it. And so for me, it was the having a schedule. Having a schedule has worked for, and it may not work for everybody, because well, I shouldn't say that, because if we think back to when we're all in school,
Mhm,
grade school and all that, a schedule did work for us.
mhm, mhm,
So I can't say it may not work for everybody, because it did. It worked for each and every one of us. However, as we got older, we stopped utilizing that schedule because of work and, families and kids and all this other stuff. And
mhm,
so when I say schedule, I'm speaking of, I utilize a planner. I utilize a calendar. Everything goes on the calendar. And
mhm,
so when I say everything, I'm not just talking about business wise, appointments, meetings. I'm speaking on everything. There is a calendar. We have a family calendar. We have a huge calendar at home that we utilize, that everything goes on it. It's like a glass whiteboard kind of calendar, and everything goes on the calendar, both on that calendar, and then we have a family calendar. So and this is something that I adopted a long time ago because I felt like it was very effective.
mhm,
And just to go back a little bit, when I was a single mom, I've gone through, I went through a divorce. And so, of course, the kids were in 2 separate houses. And so we needed to make sure we stayed on top of, kids events and all of that. So I created a calendar so that we would be on the same page. It worked for, it did what it needed to do as far as helping us. And so I've always kind of had that, this is the structure, this is what I'm trying to create, this is going to help me balance, because at the end of the day, we all get 24 hours in a day,
mhm, mhm.
nothing more than 24 hours, right? And so
Yeah.
it's a matter of how we're going to manage those 24 hours that we get. And so some of us manage it a lot more effectively than others. And so when I began to really look at that and say, okay, this is how I'm going to break down my 24 hours, and this is what's going to work for me. So I do utilize quite, several different tools and resources to help me, really manage my business. And then also from a personal side of things, as I mentioned, like my calendar, my children, we all have access to the calendar. We have a meeting every week, from a family perspective, so that we can come together and talk about the week, what's happening for the week. I have four children. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of different pieces, there are a lot of things that's going on, and we've done this for years. So, Sunday evenings, we're having a meeting talking about what's happening for the week and who has this going on. And then it's also opportunity to sit down and celebrate each other too, because I'm all about celebrating. So if anything happened, that we need to celebrate, we have a celebrate. And then there's a round table. So a lot of times we think about round tables as, work or business meetings, but we have a round table where each one of us go around. If there's anything we want to add, if there's any questions, it gives everyone an opportunity to speak. It gives the opportunity for, people to highlight things and everything else within the family. And it's just something that we do because I have, at this point, I have three grown kids now. And it's crazy saying that because my son today is his birthday.
Oh,
So
wow.
I have three kids that are, over 18,
Oh, wow.
18, 19, and then 20, 25. And then I have a soon to be 12-year-old. And
Mm-hmm.
so, as you can imagine, there's all kinds of things that are going on with colleges. And so we just want to make sure we're all staying on the same page, that we can come together as a family when we need to. And so that's one of the things that has really helped me. And I mean, and that's everything from, date nights, whether it's date night with the kids or, date nights with my husband, it's all put on the calendar and we know about it ahead of time. It helps so that everything is smooth. Granted, there's things that come up that it's like, oh, we have to shift this or make changes there. But that's to be expected. But at the end of the day, everyone knows that this is the go-to, this is what we have. And that has helped me. That's probably one of the biggest tools that's really helped me manage everything. And then also making sure that on the calendar that I block out and have time for me. So I have something that I call like a CEO day, which
Mm-hmm.
is not a whole day, but it's a CEO day. And I got this concept from somebody else, and I can't think of the person's name right now because I've been doing it for years. So I got it from another woman who was talking about um, her CEO day, and her CEO day was, I want to say it was like a whole day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you can take a whole day, then by all means. But this CEO day, we, naturally we think, oh, it must be a self-care day. Well, this CEO day is a day that I spend, once a month. And it's not a whole day, but it's a day where I'm able to look at, my business and reflect, what's working, what didn't work, and really go through this whole process of, it's like a whole long list of things that I'm looking at to prepare for the next following month. And so, of course, that's on the business side of things. I do also, block out time for myself, family time, and all of that. Again, that's all a part of the calendar that we utilize so that we know what's going on when it's family time, when this is happening, what's happening this weekend. And for most, they may be like, oh, that's too much. That's too much. No one wants to have their life kind of and that's like planned out. But for me, it works because when you have so many different things that you're doing and you have, a family like ours, it's just helpful so that we can show up and be there for each of us, that is having specific things. If there's something that we need to be there, for, one of my kids, then we know what's on the counter and we know what's on there in advance so that we can plan. And I do traveling. I travel as well. And so it's just, it works. It just works. It can work for the most busiest mom, wife, business owner, or the one that's not as busy, because then you can see what your days look like. You
Mm-hmm.
can plan out your days, and so, that's one of the tools that I love. I've used for years. I've kind of made some changes, but it's one of the things that, when it comes down to that calendar, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. So,
Yeah, and that's amazing. And that's what you also said in the beginning. These are practices. So
mhm,
yes, you cannot be rigid with them because yeah, you found what works for you. And especially over the years and being a single mom and a business owner, you learned a lot and now you're learning a different way and you're constantly adapting. And that's what when you were sharing your how you manage your family, your life. This is, I see, it's good that you're acknowledging that you are a leader
yes,
because you are leading your family. I can just see connection,
yes,
communication, delegation,
mhm,
organizational skills. Um, and then also, I love that you have your own time for you. That's very important because you're the cause of your whole creation. And if you're out, everything is out. This whole schedule is out.
mhm,
So I'm glad that you have yourself there. So and that's beautiful. Not only that you are practicing your leadership skills in outside of your family, but also with your family. Because yes, having
mhm,
4 kids and a relationship, that takes a lot.
it
So
does.
yes, I'm glad that your family members are benefiting from your leadership skills. And this is how we can be because yes, you don't have to have your own business, you don't have that title, but you have a family, or even just leading
Mhm,
yourself to better and greater, and even removing those layers of not good enough because they're not true. None of us were born with that factory defect. That's what I always tell my clients.
mhm,
Okay, how can we see that you are not good enough? Tell me. And they like, I don't know. Well, yeah, when you were born, is there like a label somewhere that they put in you? Can
right.
we find that label in you? And if we do, then that's it. You're correct. You're not good enough. But if we don't, let's continue questioning that and see what that not good enough is hiding. And what is hiding is the true essence of who we are, which we are timeless and limitless spiritual beings, connected always to abundance and freedom and agency of choice. So, and coaches like you can help people come to that essence and start realizing it because that's how we can create beautiful things in life because of the people who lead themselves and others, and the world only gets better. Okay, so I want to respect your time and I want us to just kind of complete our wonderful conversation with rapid fire questions. This is like really get to know you.
Okay.
But quickly,
Okay.
so you don't have to think too much. If you don't want to
Okay.
answer some of the questions, you'll be like, no, just say no. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay. Um, so kind of going back to all your schedule and stuff, and then me time. What is the most important thing for you to schedule during your me time? Like that really feels connected to who you are, like that's me.
So I would say my devotion and prayer time. That
Mm,
is the most important time that goes in my schedule. I have hands
yeah,
down.
beautiful. Who is your most inspiring female leader?
Oh, I would say Michelle Obama.
Excellent. Okay. And what's your favorite book on life or leadership?
Favorite book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Awesome. Yes, I can guess that. It's the Bible. It's the
Right.
Bible number 2, I have to say.
It is an
Yes.
amazing book. Yes.
So you did mention self-care practices. What is it that you do for movement for yourself?
Oh, for movement. So I work out at a gym. And I like doing Zumba too.
Okay.
So
Awesome. Yeah, you love
yes,
to dance. Yeah,
yes.
excellent. What's your favorite dish that you like to
Ooh,
cook?
favorite dish. Anything Mexican.
Okay.
So yeah, anything Mexican.
What is the most favorite topic that you like to talk about? I know you're a speaker.
So it is unleashing your greatness.
Okay. Yes. Awesome. What's your favorite travel destination that you've been to?
Ooh, I would have to say the Bahamas.
Okay. Awesome. And what's your favorite movie?
Ooh, favorite movie. Oh, may have stumped me on this one. I
Okay.
don't know that I have a favorite movie. Oh, I don't think I have a favorite movie, but I would probably say I'm gonna just say the first thing that came to, um, the first thing that came to my mind was the movie Harriet, and it's about Harriet Tubman, which is interesting because I have her on my she wall. I have a she wall in my office, and it's women that inspire, empower me, whether they're presently still living or just their journeys. And Harriet Tubman is actually on my she wall,
Mm,
and I love that movie because it just screamed perseverance. It screamed strength. My goodness, faith, and really just empowered me. So, so Harriet,
yeah.
I would say Harriet and her journey, of course, but Harriet
Yeah.
is about her journey.
Yes, and that's a great opportunity to say thank you to all those women who created
Mhm.
the path for us
Yes.
to experience fullness of life because we
Mhm.
definitely have it way better. So
Yes.
thank you. Um, and what is the most important quality that your husband has that you absolutely admire in him?
The most important quality, I would say, is the thoughtfulness.
Mm.
Hmm.
You're blessed. Very awesome. Okay. And what is the wisdom that you want to share with your children?
Ooh, so the wisdom that I do share with my children is that they can be, do, and have whatever they want in life. And I share that not just with them, but with, could scream
Mhm.
it from the rooftops to everyone,
Yes.
that you have the power to be, do, and have what you want in life. You just have to be willing to unleash that greatness and take action. And so that is what I instill in them every single day by not just, empowering them, because my coaching first starts at home.
Mhm.
My leadership first starts at home. And so I do that,
Mhm.
through, having conversations and really supporting them. And then also through my own journey and them seeing me
Mhm.
and the things that I'm doing and also involving them in that as well. So they work within my business as well. So that is one of the things that I'm very passionate about, and I instill in them each and every day, that not only do they have the power to be, do, and have what they want in life, but and they have to unleash their greatness. But I am really paving that way so that that greatness for them, is kind of, that legacy is built for them, and then they continue, building it as well.
Yes, and that's a beautiful ending because that message definitely applies to everyone. And that's an amazing message. So, because when we have even one person who believes in us, we can move the walls.
Hmm.
And if two people can believe in us and then we ourselves believe in us,
That's right.
I think we can move the clouds.
That's that's right. Yes.
Yes, that's what I always say when people say, well, the sky's the limit. I always say, no, 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 their mind is the limit. You
Yes.
can move the sky with God's help. And if that's meant to be, it's meant to be. And you're just gonna have the power to do it.
That's
Well, thank
right.
you so much, Jaresha, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your message, and for sharing your leadership in the world, and especially with your four kids, because if we can have future leaders who are inspired by a leader like you, well, the world is only going to be brighter.
Mhm.
Yes, and we definitely need more leadership in the world for sure. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.